They said Adrian Valente ruled New York with silence. No shouting, no threats, just one slow look from his steel-gray eyes, and people vanished. That night, in the Golden Hall of Bellanova Club, Adrian did not come for blood. He came for boredom. The storm outside was savage. Rain smashed against the tall glass windows, lightning cutting the sky open again and again. Inside, crystal chandeliers glowed over polished marble floors and tables dressed in white silk. To the public, Bellanova was a five-star supper club for politicians and billionaires. To those who understood power, it was neutral ground for criminals who wore tuxedos instead of guns. Camila Russo tightened her grip on the silver tray. Her hands were shaking. She was 23, thin, exhausted, and invisible. By day, she washed dishes in a Queen's cafe. By night, she poured wine for men who could destroy her life with one phone call. Table 7. Now, the manager hissed in her ear. And don't look at them. That's Adrian Valente's table. Her stomach dropped. Everyone knew Adrian Valente, shipping tycoon, philanthropist, and quietly the most feared crime lord on the East Coast. 32 years old, perfect jawline, cold eyes. They said he had not smiled since his father was murdered. Tonight was meant to celebrate a major deal. A famous Italian opera singer had been hired to perform only for him. But the storm had grounded the plane, and Adrian Valente did not tolerate disappointment. Camila approached the table, carrying a heavy crystal decanter. Adrian sat at the head, calm, bored, spinning a silver lighter between his fingers. "Where is my music?" he asked softly. No one answered. His men avoided his eyes. Camila leaned forward to refill his glass. At that moment, one of the men slammed the table in anger. The vibration shook her hands. The decanter slipped. Time slowed. Glass shattered. Red wine exploded across the table, and across Adrian Valente's suit. Silence swallowed the room. Camila froze. She had just ruined a $3,000 suit belonging to the most dangerous man in New York. Adrian did not move. He looked down at the stain, then slowly looked up at her. His face was calm. Too calm. I'm sorry," Camila whispered. "I'll clean it." "Stop." One word. She froze. Adrian stood. He towered over her. He picked up a shard of glass, studied it, then dropped it. "My night is ruined," he said to the room. "No singer, no music. And now, this." His eyes locked on Camila. "What is your name?" "Camila." "Camila," he repeated, tasting it. "Interesting." He stepped closer. The scent of rain and expensive cologne surrounded her. "Normally, my men would drag you outside and teach you a lesson," he said calmly. "But tonight, I am bored." A cruel smile touched his lips. "Let's play a game." He pointed at the empty stage. "You sing." The room gasped. Camila blinked. "Sir, if you can sing something that does not hurt my ears, you leave alive." Nervous laughter rippled. Adrian continued. "If you sing beautifully," he paused, amused, "I will marry you." People chuckled. A joke. Cruel entertainment. "And if I fail?" Camila asked. His smile vanished. "Then you belong to me for 10 years. The room fell silent. That was not a joke. That was slavery. Mila's legs trembled. She should run. She should beg. But something deep inside her hardened. "Deal," she said. Adrian raised an eyebrow. "Interesting." She walked to the stage. The pianist stared at her like she was insane. "Do you know Mozart?" she whispered. He laughed. "Girl, get down before you die. Play the Queen of the Night," she said quietly. His eyes widened. That piece was impossible. She closed her eyes. Thought of her mother, of the rejection letters, of her father, once a famous singer, now dead and forgotten. The piano began. Adrian looked away, already bored. Then, she sang. The first note struck the room like thunder. Clear, powerful, fierce. Adrian froze. The room stopped breathing. This was not a waitress. This was a storm. Her voice climbed higher and higher, sharp and perfect, filled with rage and fire. Men dropped forks. Women stared. The chandeliers vibrated. She held the final note until the air itself seemed to crack. Silence. Then, applause exploded. Adrian stood slowly. Shock filled his eyes. For the first time in years, someone had surprised him. He walked to the stage. "You are not a waitress," he said softly. He removed a heavy ring from his finger and placed it at her feet. "I am a man of my word. We are getting married." Mila stared at the ring, then shook her head. "I don't want marriage." Gasps filled the room. "I want a favor." His eyes sharpened. "My father was murdered," she whispered. "I want the name of the man who did it." Adrian smiled. A real smile. "Then marriage it is," he said. "Because the man who killed your father is the same man trying to kill me." And with that he took her hand. The wedding happened 3 days later. No flowers. No family. No love. Only guns. Mila stood inside a private penthouse overlooking Manhattan, staring at her reflection. She barely recognized herself. Her dark hair was pinned into a soft crown. A silk ivory gown hugged her thin frame. Diamonds shimmered around her neck. She looked like a princess, but she felt like a prisoner. 2 armed women stood behind her. "Time," one said. Mila swallowed. 3 days ago, she had been washing dishes. Now she was about to marry the most dangerous man in America. The door opened. Adrian Valente walked in. Black suit, white shirt, no tie. His presence filled the room. For a moment, neither spoke. "You can still leave," he said calmly. She laughed bitterly. "And go where? Your men are everywhere." "True." He studied her carefully. "You sing beautifully," he said. "But beauty in my world attracts knives." "I didn't ask for your world," she replied. "No," he said. "But you walked into it." Silence stretched. Finally, she whispered, "Will you really help me find my father's killer?" His eyes darkened. Yes, that was the only promise that mattered. The ceremony took place in a private chapel owned by one of Adrian's allies. No guests, only his closest men. The priest trembled as he spoke. When he said, "You may kiss the bride," Adrian hesitated, then lightly touched her lips. It was brief, cold, but cameras flashed. The news exploded within minutes. Crime lord marries mystery woman. Who is Mila Valente? Across the city, enemies smiled. Because now Adrian had a weakness. That night, he took her to the annual Black Crown Gala, the most powerful event in New York. Politicians, judges, bankers, and criminals disguised as gentlemen. Mila stepped out of the limousine and gasped. The palace-sized hotel glittered with gold lights. Adrian offered his arm. "Smile," he whispered. "Tonight, everyone will try to guess how to kill you." Her heart pounded. Inside, whispers followed them. "That's her. The waitress. She's too ordinary." Adrian leaned close. "Do not drink anything unless I hand it to you. Do not leave my side. And if someone asks about your past, yes, lie." They moved through the crowd. Suddenly, Adrian froze. Across the room stood a tall man with silver hair and sharp eyes. Victor Morelli, the ghost, the most powerful crime boss in Europe, and the man who had ordered her father's death. Mila felt the blood drain from her face. "That's him," she whispered. Adrian's jaw tightened. "Not yet," he murmured. "Not tonight." Too late. Victor noticed them. He smiled and walked toward them. "Well, well," Victor said smoothly. "So this is the famous bride." His eyes scanned Mila like she was merchandise. "Beautiful choice, Adrian." "Careful," Adrian replied. "She bites." Victor laughed. "Congratulations," he said to Mila. "You just married the devil." She forced a smile. "Better than marrying a ghost," she said softly. Victor's eyes flickered. Interesting. They talked politely, too politely. As Victor walked away, Adrian whispered, "Never provoke him. He killed my father, and he will kill you if you rush." Moments later, a waiter passed with champagne. Adrian handed Mila a glass himself. She took one sip, then, her vision blurred. The room tilted. Her legs weakened. "Adrian," she whispered. He caught her just before she collapsed. "Poison." He lifted her into his arms calmly, but his eyes burned with murder. They rushed her into a private room. A doctor injected her. Minutes passed. Her breathing slowed. She survived. Adrian stood by the window, silent. His men waited. Finally, he spoke. "Seal the exits. Find the waiter. Burn this building if necessary." The waiter was found in the kitchen, dead. Poison capsule. Victor had tested Adrian, and now war was official. Later that night, Mila woke in the penthouse. Adrian sat beside her bed. "You almost died," he said. "I know," she whispered. He hesitated. "Why did Victor recognize your face?" She swallowed. "My father once sang at one of his parties. Victor wanted him to work for him. And he refused." Adrian closed his eyes. "That's why he died." Tears slipped from her eyes. Adrian gently wiped them away. "I will end him," he promised. For the first time, she believed him. Days passed. Mila lived like a queen, but watched like a prisoner. Bodyguards everywhere. No phone. No internet. Only music. Adrian built her a private studio. "Sing," he said. "It calms the house." And slowly, they changed. She saw the man behind the monster. How he fed stray cats on the balcony. How he visited his mother's grave every Sunday. How he woke screaming some nights. And he saw her strength. Her kindness to servants. Her fire. One night, she asked quietly, "Why did you really marry me?" He paused. "Because Victor would never hurt my wife publicly." She nodded. Then he added softly, "And because I was tired of being alone." Silence filled the room. Something fragile began to grow, until the crew's invitation arrived. Peace meeting. On Victor's yacht. Adrian knew it was a trap, but he went, with Mila beside him. As the yacht sailed into open water, fog thickened. Music played. Wine flowed. Victor toasted. To new alliances. Suddenly, the lights went out. Gunshots exploded. Screams filled the deck. Mila was pulled away. A masked man grabbed her, dragged her below. She fought, bit, kicked, but a needle pierced her neck. Darkness swallowed her. When she woke, she was tied to a chair. In a metal room, water sloshed around her feet. A screen lit up. Adrian appeared, bleeding, surrounded. Victor's voice echoed. "Choose, Adrian. Your empire, or your wife." Cold water touched Mila's shoes. The metal room rocked gently with the waves. Her wrists burned against the rope. On the screen in front of her, Adrian stood on the deck of the yacht. Blood ran down his temple. Victor's voice echoed through hidden speakers. "Time is short, my friend," Victor said calmly. "Your men are dying upstairs." Gunfire sounded in the background. Mila screamed, "Adrian, don't listen to him." Adrian's jaw tightened. Victor continued. "One button," he said. "Press it, and the bombs under your ships explode." Panel lit beside Adrian. "Your empire ends." Another button lit. "Or your wife sinks with this room." Mila's breath caught. Water rose slowly around her ankles. Adrian closed his eyes. Memories flashed. His father's body on cold pavement. His mother crying. Years of building power only to lose everything. He opened his eyes, looked straight into the camera. "I choose neither." Victor laughed. "Wrong answer." The water began rising faster. The screen went dark. Mila was alone. The water reached her knees. Her heart pounded. She tested the ropes again. Too tight. No knife. No strength. Then she remembered something. Her voice. She tilted her head back and sang. Not loud. Not beautiful. Low. Slow. A vibration. The old metal walls hummed. The pipes above her shook. She changed the note. Higher. Sharper. A crack echoed. A bolt on the ceiling loosened. She sang again. Harder. The rope on her wrist snapped. She fell forward, coughing. Free. She stood as water reached her waist. Climbed onto the chair. grabbed the loose pipe, pulled with everything she had. It broke. Water rushed out violently. The pressure shifted. The door burst open. She ran, barefoot through dark corridors. Gunshots echoed above. Smoke filled the halls. She followed the sound of shouting. Up the stairs. Onto the main deck. Chaos. Bodies. Fire. She saw Adrian on his knees, surrounded by Victor's men. Victor stood in front of him, holding a gun. "You should have chosen better," Victor said. Mila screamed, "Adrian!" Everyone froze. Victor turned slowly. Shock filled his eyes. "You escaped." She walked forward, shaking but strong. "You killed my father," she said. Victor smiled. "Yes." He sang too loudly. Adrian struggled to stand. "Victor, your war is with me." "No," Victor replied. "It ends with her." He raised the gun. Bang. Adrian jumped. The bullet tore into his shoulder. He fell. Mila ran to him, screaming. Victor laughed. Then, a gun fired behind him. Victor froze. A red flower bloomed on his chest. He looked down, confused. Behind him stood one of Adrian's closest men. Tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry, boss," the man whispered. "He killed my sister too." Victor collapsed. Dead. Silence fell. Then alarms screamed. The yacht tilted. Explosions thundered below. "The ship is sinking," someone shouted. Adrian grabbed Mila. They ran. Fire chased them. They jumped into the freezing sea just as the yacht exploded behind them. Morning. They were pulled from the water by coast guards. Wrapped in blankets. Alive. Victor was gone. The war was over. Weeks later, Adrian sat alone in a small church. No guards. No guns. Just silence. Mila walked in. Simple white dress. No diamonds. No cameras. Just love. "You don't have to marry me," he said quietly. "You're free now." She smiled. "I know." She took his hand. "But I want to." The priest began. This time there was no fear. When they kissed, the world felt soft. Months later, Mila stood on a grand stage. Lights bright. Crowd silent. The biggest opera house in Europe. Adrian sat in the front row. Not as a king. Just as a man in love. She sang. For her father. For herself. For the life she survived. When the final note faded, the crowd rose in thunder. Adrian wiped a tear. Later that night, on a quiet balcony, Mila asked, "Will you ever leave the business?" He looked at the city. "Yes," he said. "For you." She smiled. And for the first time in his life, Adrian Valente felt free.